You're listening to Flying Casual, a Star Wars podcast. Here's your host, Michael Canterbury.
Wouldn't you know it? Right when we go live, Luke's picture readjusts. But now we're back. Luke's back. He was a tiny little Luke. Now he's a giant Luke.
What happened?
Must be the beer. He sprouted. He was like a little baby Groot. He took a sip of his brew and then he sprouted into a beautiful
tree.
Elegant man. He might be a tree.
And guess what else?
You're a tree too?
What? No.
Oh.
We're on time.
We're on time, son. We ain't late anymore. Maybe we should tell everyone that, there's no 15-minute rule anymore.
Guess what? 9:30 means 9:32. It no longer means 9:47.
I think that's fair. Fam, I hope you're not sick of us because I think this is the third or fourth time that you've heard from us this week. So if you're enjoying it, hey, we're going to keep going while we still have Star Wars to talk about. So stick with us this next hour or so to talk about Chapter 15, The Believer of the Mandalorian. I've got Holly here at the desk with me. And I've also got Luke celebrating our local boys, the Columbus Crew SC. Luke, we're going to the finals. I mean, how do you feel about that?
Not so good after the other night. We had two of our better players are out of the game with positive COVID.
Thanks, COVID. Thanks, COVID. Taking everything from us.
So, cautiously hoping for a miracle.
2020, I mean, highs and lows, and it looks like we might be then losing this cup. Hey, that's okay. Nice job, boys. Really nice job.
I think today's been like a roller coaster of a day.
Yeah, it has.
I mean, it started out on a high, and the woman at Dunkin' Donuts remembered our order, which was
embarrassing.
But fine.
No, she cut me off. Like, I was halfway through the order, and she finished it for me. That's when you know you're going to Dunkin' too much. That's embarrassing, but I was a little flattered, if I'm being honest. She recognizes this broadcast voice.
You know what?
Oh, is that the guy from Flying Casual?
We're regulars, and so they treat us well.
That's right. Amen. I mean, I haven't got anything free yet.
Well,
that's not true. We get rewards.
We do.
Because we buy so much.
But
so
then,
we've earned it. Yeah.
But then after that, it was like...
We had the meats.
NPR was like Mariah Carey Christmas.
Yeah, you learned a lot about that song,
I
right?
learned a lot.
Yeah.
I've never heard somebody break down music like that.
Yeah.
But then NPR right after that did John Legend. Oh
wow.
my God.
I mean, how's it go? How's the big song go, Holly?
No.
I'll be your man or you'll be my whatever, something
what
like that.
Say?
I don't know.
No.
His big
I meant
hit to his wife.
Lennon.
Oh.
Yeah.
R.I.P.
R.I.P.
40 years ago this week, guys. R.I.P. Holly apparently wants to talk about pop culture.
I was gonna say.
I mean,
but then right after that, then we got the episode of The Mandalorian because that's the order that we did things today.
Holly's been on a roller coaster. I think she cried
down.
in the car listening to NPR talk about the passing of John Legend.
Lennon.
Now you got me doing it too. John Lennon. I mean, John Legend's still with us.
Thank God.
I'm pretty sure.
Can't lose too many Johns.
We can't. Guys, not a lot of talk about this episode from the group. I'm not seeing a lot of talk online about it, and I'm a little upset by that.
Everyone's running off that high from yesterday.
I guess. Yeah, maybe people are sick of talking about Star Wars, but Holly, you watched the episode, and now you're drinking a nice bottle of red. Now I know it's aged a few years in your trunk. We found that out the other day.
It's from 2013.
So it had a nice couple years on it added in,
But how long was it?
a couple years.
It wasn't in my trunk. It was.
Yeah.
I'm not going to tell everyone where it was.
It was in the floorboard. It's okay. Don't be embarrassed. We all have things under, our floorboards that we really, we don't recall. Maybe some French fries. At least you had a nice bottle of wine.
Listen.
Like a $30 bottle. It wasn't like some flip-flop.
Flip-flop. I was... Yeah, we got ID'd at UDF buying flip-flop wine. I was like, bro, this is a $4 bottle of wine. If I was going to, use a fake ID. But anyway, it's fine. He was doing his job.
Yeah, he's like, bitches don't drink Moscato.
Shoot.
Okay.
Okay, no, this wine, I got it out of my car last year. I found it when I was cleaning my car out after I moved, and it was underneath the passenger seat.
Yeah.
But
Hey,
I Googled it, and people are like, listen.
that shit happens all the time.
No.
It doesn't.
That's
No,
not what
people
happens.
don't leave alcohol in their car.
Except for me, apparently.
Yeah.
I don't know how I forgot about that one. But anyway.
Underneath a car seat is very similar to the conditions in a wine cellar.
Right?
Yeah.
I Googled it, Luke.
104-degree heat, sometimes freeze. I think the variation of temperature probably did it, allowed it to ferment a little more than maybe usual, Holly. So you're going to be nice and limbered up for this discussion then, which is fantastic. That's actually, guys, I proposed something to Holly the other day. We went on a run. And I said, hey, Holly, it's been a while, since we're going to get to the Mandalorian, guys, I promise. But right now it's a little bit of story time. Give me a break. Mike hasn't talked to anyone today. He needs to talk some more. We're going for a run, trying to get this, body in shape, remove the tire from my stomach. And I'm like, Holly, it's been a while since I read Lost Stars. Why don't you go ahead and give me, a summary of it? And we're running, and Holly doesn't like break a sweat when we run. It's like she's sitting down telling a story. She's not hyperventilating like I am.
I'm working on my VO2 intake.
I'm just like agreeing with you, and I'm dying while running. And so Holly's telling me, summarizing the book, and I'm like, yeah, I remember this stuff. Okay. But the way she's describing, I'm like, Holly, this sounds a lot like drunk history. First of all, are you drinking before runs? That's impressive. A little concerning though, if you need that to get motivated to go for a run. I mean, more power to you. But I'm like, this could be a great little segment for Patreon. So I'm figuring out, guys, how we can do a little Holly's drunk Star Wars history. I think maybe we need to go for the car wines from now on. Let's start now. Put them in the car. Let them sit there for a couple months, couple years, and then we'll have a nice stock for episodes. Yeah,
this is a nice Joel got backseat Cabernet.
And she added
Cabernet.
the back seat there. That's not Joel's wine. That's not the name. It's a little Holly rendition of that. So you should actually write him and say, you know what I think this is missing? 2 to 3 years in the floorboard of a Toyota Corolla. So we'll write Joel and see what he has to say. Maybe we'll get free wine.
Maybe. But
Yeah.
I think, I don't know, the group seemed pretty receptive to that as a
Yeah.
Patreon
I'm excited.
exclusive.
It's
So
going to
that
take
might
a lot
be fun.
of work. But
I could
I'm down.
it's two of my favorite things. It's drinking a bottle of wine
Amen.
and talking.
Yeah, no, and Star Wars not in there. Like, it's just talking and drinking whatever she's doing. She's down. That sounded terrible. Phrasing.
It's like
whatever
last
you're talking
time
about. Yeah.
when Michael was like,
Yeah.
yeah, Holly's on the internet.
I didn't take that in a perverted manner. Holly thought I was saying that she had, like, porn vids out there. Like, no, that was not.
Yeah,
I was talking about you just accessing the internet to get information, not to, post personal videos.
Anyway.
But if that's what you're into, guys, hey, whatever. I know that's a judgment-free zone. Don't judge me for my Boba Fett tattoo, and I won't judge you for your vids.
Your Mando tramp stamp.
But yeah, I was trying to not, refer to it as such, but Holly dropped the ball there. Hey, take control of that statement, Holly. Let's take it back. We're taking back tramp stamp, okay? But folks, we watched The Mandalorian. We are talking about The Mandalorian. This is a Mandalorian live stream. Holly, you watched the episode.
Yeah.
Looking past my screaming in some parts of it and excitement.
Oh, yeah.
What was your reaction?
I liked it. It was really fast paced.
Yeah. You like fast paced.
I do, yeah. And I think
Crazy.
I called some of the things that were going to happen before they happened.
You did.
Like, I called them at the very beginning of
You
the
did.
episode, and then
Hardcore.
they happened later in the
Yeah.
episode. I was like,
Impressive. It's almost
Got
as if
it.
you and Rick Famuyiwa nailed it. Got together and wrote this episode.
I liked the pace that this episode had in it. I like the action pack because I feel like not all of them are this kind of action.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I just feel like they're getting a little bit faster and getting a little bit more intense, which
Yeah.
I like. And then just like, I don't want to jump ahead to the end,
Yeah.
but at the end, when he like comes through as a hollow to Moff
was
Gideon
awesome.
and says to him what he said to Mando at the beginning, I was like,
So sick. I was so pumped with it when that happened. I mean, I was pumped the whole episode. And I want to hear from the fam in the chat. Why aren't you guys talking about this episode as much? I'm trying not to be offended by this because I happen to enjoy this one in particular. And that's not just, a crush on Bill Burr or anything. I thought this episode was fantastic. But Luke, nothing from you either. You and the fam been eerily quiet about this episode. What did you think, my friend?
Going into it, I was definitely, cool on it. I wasn't the biggest fan of episode 6 of season 1 with Bill Burr's character. It wasn't my favorite of the season. And so I wasn't really pumped to see the character come back. And we knew he was coming back at the end of the last episode. So I knew that was a major part of this episode, if not the only part. And so I also didn't look up who the director was going to be. I knew there was one out there we hadn't seen yet, but I didn't seek it out. I just wanted to watch the episode and then check the credits at the end. But if I would have known it was Famiyiwa, I would have had probably more excitement, more anticipation about the episode, because I think he did fantastic. Even though he did episode 6 last year, that wasn't my favorite, but he did one of my all-time favorites, episode 2, chapter 2. So this, the premise didn't excite me, but this was so well executed. And the expansion of the character Mayfeld that Bill Burr plays, I thought was outstanding. So this was this character I didn't want more from, didn't care to see again, and then it was just excellent. And it was very much like a Rebels episode to me, the whole premise.
You're right.
Dozens of times it seems like in Rebels they were grabbing Imperial armor and sneaking onto an Imperial ship or an Imperial base. So that had a nice real Rebels feel to it, which was a nice place to be as well.
It did, because you see this. They called it the Juggernaut. I freaking love that. I was like, let's go. You see the Juggernaut. Cara Dune hardly any security going on the perimeter here of this base. Cara Dune just drops right in, bashes these guys up, and you're like, how did they? That was too easy. But then, like Luke said, go and look at every single episode of Rebels. That's the exact premise. We hijack a vehicle, we get on board, or we get in the base. It's just, it felt so much like Star Wars, and it did, Luke. It took in animated elements that we love, things like that. It brought in not only direct video game references, but we're there on this kind of jungle planet. It had a Battlefront 2 feel, with Iden Versio and them being on in. It just had that feel to it. I was crushing on this episode super hard, and then when we penetrate, the phrasing, the base, you also they continue on with that Rebels feel. The kind of joking around and in disguise and just like you do in a video game. At some point, when you're behind enemy lines, you get frustrated with obeying the rules of the game, and you just kind of off somebody, and that sets everything ablaze. Which it very much felt like that in this, a little more serious, obviously, in tone, but that's kind of what it felt like here. I absolutely love this episode. I thought this episode had some of the, and I'm going to get a lot of flack for this, and I don't care. I read RobertEbert.com, and Robert Ebert can go screw himself, because that review was garbage. So many people just want to see Grogu, and they think that's just the stakes, and Boba Fett and Ahsoka, and this was my exact fear with this television show, that these characters were going to distract us from development of folks that we actually don't know. We don't know anything about Den. We don't know anything about Mayfield. And this episode just showed that, as much as people were really disinterested by Bill Burr, whether they found him annoying because he's from Boston, which I think is hysterical. I think he happens to be a hysterical guy. But whether they were annoyed by that, he just didn't feel like he fit in. I felt like this story here simply showed us some of the most growth that we've seen in The Mandalorian of any character. Holly, am I mistaken?
No, you're not mistaken. I think that Bill Burr himself, he's not my favorite comedian. His jokes just kind of fall flat for me personally.
Probably because he's ripping on Maine. I mean, is that no?
No, he tends to often recently rip on women in a way that's just not funny. So I don't think that he's super funny. I think he did a great job in this episode. Yeah. I think that he played this character very well. Mm-hmm. I'm with Luke, where what was it, chapter 6 from season 1. That was my least favorite episode of the first season of The Mandalorian. I just didn't feel invested in any of the characters. I didn't love the way that it was filmed. It just didn't really seem to fit with the rest of the season.
Yeah.
And I feel like something that they've done this season is kind of find a better way to mesh the episodes together and allow people to have their own creative direction when they're directing and producing these episodes, but so they have their own like freedom, but at the same time still kind of make it's a little more, has a little more continuity, I think, which I think they've done a good job of doing that. But I think that Bill Burr played Mayfield really well. And I think that I think it shows that you don't always have to know everything that a character went through to empathize with them and to feel bad for them. And I don't know, maybe it's just because I finished Lost Stars a couple nights ago and I'm still on that like high from like everyone just like slamming the Empire, but not really knowing what else to do about it.
Yeah.
I just like everything that he was saying, I think was resonating with me really well.
Oh, it was so easy to believe him. And I think he's an underrated actor. I think he brings that just rawness. That's the only way I can like. He can't filter himself. It just that genuine side of him just comes out, and so I believed him when he was sitting here at this table, just boiling. You could just feel it coming out of him. You're like, he's gonna snap. Like he's really bothered by what he's gone through, and he's not. He's here to help out. You know, Den. He's doing him a favor. Here to help out, help get the baby back. But like, I can't let this go. I can't leave here without, trying to see justice by the people that I lost and loved. It's just
personal.
It was so personal. And I'm sorry, we have not seen that in The Mandalorian. We just haven't. I thought it just hit me more than anything. And I don't know, Luke, what specifically, I mean, did you enjoy about this episode the most? There were some cool references in the end with Boba Fett. He's flying away. And I told Holly, the tie started coming. I said, he better have a seismic charge. And I could not believe those doors opened. I was like, wow, what an awesome reference. But
you should have been here on the couch with me. I said, when that door opened up in the back, I said, mother effing seismic charge. It was the same moment I had in the prior episode when the Slave One came flying by. I did the same thing. Mother effing Slave One. But that's towards the end. I wanted to talk a little earlier. I want to talk a lot of Operation Cinder here in a minute, but I want to before getting to that point in the episode, talk about just the conversation they have between Mayfield and the Mando Din Djarin on the drive before the action kicks in, when they're just chatting, and you see he's kind of ribbing Mando about the helmet or not showing your face, which is most important. I guess it's just hiding your face. It doesn't matter that you're wearing Mandalorian armor or not, just that I can't see your face. And then he talks about this point of view we get more and more in the newer canon of like for a lot of just the regular people in the galaxy, they're not too concerned about who is winning the galactic civil war or not. They're just trying to live their lives, and he says they see the New Republic and the Empire very similarly. So that's an interesting point of view he brings to things as well. And talks about how people, it's sort of foreshadowing the episode about how people stick to their codes and their beliefs as long as it's convenient. But then when things get real messy, they abandon those quickly, which was a nice foreshadowing for Mando deciding I got to go in there without my helmet in the base later on. So I just, the action was great and it was fun. But to me, the moments I always talk about most and think about the most are a lot of the quieter moments like that. So I love them just cruising in that transport, chatting the way that they did.
You forget to. We all get so consumed with these Jedi and the awesome, force of these weapons and the battles, and we blow over, like, because I look at Star Wars like our own world, and that's exactly what they're doing here. And there's a message here, that felt like it was very topical for things going on in our world. But just that, like Luke said, like when it comes down to it, people, they'll abandon, maybe not their principles, but like what's going on in their immediate life. It's bigger than these ideals. And I feel like that's a very topical thing that's going on right now, even in our world, especially even like in election time. But you're right. Those quieter moments were just, once again, they felt very authentic, and that's Bill Burr kind of ripping him, and he has his own insecurities that he's dealing with, and just like a comedian, he's kind of projecting onto someone else. Oh, you got that silly hat, you're hiding behind it. But it's like he's hiding behind a lot of stuff of his own.
Yeah, like his attitude.
Right? But I mean, he could have very easily, when he lost he saw Operation Cinder happen. He could have very easily went and joined the New Republic.
Can we talk about that then? Because that's coming up in the group chat right now.
Yeah.
And Luke said that he wanted to bring it up. I don't know what Operation Cinder is, so someone needs to explain this to me.
So Operation Cinder was pretty much a kind of last-ditch effort of the Empire after the Battle of Endor, that probably something of many things that obviously it seems like the Emperor was maybe doing to just say, you know what, if we're going to lose, these people aren't going to enjoy the fruits of this planet. They're not going to have these resources. We're literally going to obliterate planets. And so they had Luke. I can't. Maybe I'm getting this wrong, but they had almost like these satellites that would orbit planets, and they literally were kind of like a Death Star, so to speak. But it would literally just seek destruction on the surface of these planets. And it's been a while since I've played the game. Where you kind of get that story of it, but it's mass destruction pretty much, and it was hey, if we're gonna lose, everything's going down with us. Maybe that was kind of part of the contingency. I don't know, but if we're not gonna get these resources and these people aren't gonna want to be under our rule, well, we'll just destroy them. So it was pretty much kind of a last kind of ditch. Hey, you're not getting this, and no one will. So it's pretty messed up.
I like how it's one of the more sweaty things to put in the show, to bring into this more mainstream part of Star Wars, but I think it works. You can be one of us and know that it was in the Battlefront 2 backstory or part of the game, and or you can just be watching him describe what happened, the death of all these people, citizens on this planet, plus even his own regiment unit, however he describes it, is part of. It gets sort of caught as collateral damage, and the Imperial officer makes the decision to, kill some of his own troops along with the civilian population, because that's how ruthless and unforgiving Operation Cinder is. And we've been able to see several characters in canon face Operation Cinder and make a decision based off it. I'm a little fuzzier on the Iden Versio details, but I think it's part of what kind of turns her against the Empire.
Yeah. But there's some, though, that stick with it, and they're just like, this is what the Emperor wants.
It comes up as a big part of Alphabet Squadron as well. The main character there, Yurika Krell. She's an Imperial pilot who is in a unit as, in Shadowwing as Operation Cinder is going down, and she experiences it too. It makes a slightly different decision than Iden Versio does. I won't give it away yet. He won't too. So it's great to see that stuff that's in the sweatier part of Star Wars. The people who read the books and play the video games, and then it get moved in here. And I think like I said, it works. Like, you understand from the brief dialogue they have about it what it means. How gruesome it was, and you see how I think that's what turned Mayfeld against the Empire.
Yeah,
he clearly thinks it wasn't right, and so you get this great story about why he left. Last season, we just knew he was a former Imperial, but we didn't know why he left. So I thought it was great rounding out of his background to get that kind of detail on it.
Yeah, it's another person that Mando has come across that he maybe didn't respect so much, and then in the end, I mean, he makes the right choices, and I don't even think Mando faults him for responding the way he did, right? I mean, this was his mission to go in and get this information, and then he blows it all, pretty much.
I think that they have an understanding that everyone's going through something differently,
Mm-hmm.
but ultimately, in the end, they all seem to want the same thing, whether it's the safety of the child or using the safety as a child as saying, like, I don't like what the Empire is doing, and I'm not going to join your little crew.
Mm-hmm.
But if I have the chance to take these guys down because I saw what they did to their own people, they don't care about their own people. They're using them as pawns in this war. Then I'm going to take them down.
Yeah.
And the situation presented itself to him.
Yeah.
And I just, like, the way that Bill Burr acted in that scene where they confronted the officer and he, like, took them to have a drink.
Mm-hmm.
And then he had to do that to get closure because it seemed like he never had that.
Mm-hmm.
And he had to blame someone for it. And so when he started bragging about how it was such a big win for the Empire, Mayfield was like, oh, really?
Well,
Was it?
And he's very clearly just, you know, there's some people that have witnessed these things, like, you know, Yurika in Alphabet Squadron chose to kind of do something different. I mean, she still has some allegiances, and it's hard to really kind of decode yourself from years of service in the Empire, and then all of a sudden you're fighting the very people that you served by. It's very difficult, and she struggles with that. But some people very quickly reacted and said, that's not right, and joined the rebellion or joined the New Republic in these moments. It seems like Bill Burr escaped and chose to not address that. And he didn't know what he would do if he came face-to-face with another Imperial, let alone someone he served under who took up these orders from the Emperor and executed them. And he lost, what do you say, 6,000 men?
Yeah, it was a lot.
Because he just sees this commander here just glossing over the details. Well, that's what needed to be done. You know, we serve the Empire. It's a great empire. Let's toast to that. And he's like, no, dude, you killed 6,000 of my friends.
I love in that moment when Din they show him off to the side and Mayfield's
like,
just
oh,
going at
shit.
him and they just like show Din's face and he just like gives a little tiny like head shake, like his eyes get really big and he's like,
We need more of that.
I wonder.
Go ahead, Luke.
I was wondering if you guys got the same feel that I got off of that scene. A little quick trivia: that actor who played the Imperial officer, Valen Hess. I was looking online today, and I saw he was actually the Night King in Game of Thrones for a couple seasons. Yeah. And he apparently has played a lot of like very sinister characters in his acting career. But when I was watching this, and I know this is out there, other people in the larger Star Wars community have drawn the same connection and posted it online. So I don't want you to think I'm just copying off of them. I had the thought independently while I was watching the episode, and then I saw it online later. But it had a real Inglourious Bastards feel to me. If you guys are familiar with that movie, the scene in the French bar when the Nazis come in there, and they have that very tense standoff where things start relatively cordial and people are feeling each other out, and then it just bang, kind of hits a breaking point. Very reminiscent of me to that. I wonder if they were thinking that as they were making it in some way, but the tension was great, and the acting all around, as subtle as Pedro was playing it as he's sitting there stoically and just kind of watching things go down, and then the tense interaction between Bill Burr and the Imperial officer.
Something that I really think we need to address about this episode, which I noticed immediately as soon as the opening credits came, the freaking music in this episode was phenomenal. It was so different from the music that we've heard in the other episodes. And Luke, that one scene that we just described where, he takes them to go get a drink and it's very, very tense. And it's just like that this back and forth between like the three of their faces and the conversation's getting more intense. Mm-hmm. The music in that moment.
It's great.
Oh my gosh. It just like was so suspenseful the whole time. I just thought the music was so well done.
Well, in the beginning of the episode too, you have the classic Mando theme, but Holly mentioned it. She's like, wow, this sounds so different. She's like, I really like those strings. And you're right. They added some strings in the orchestra there to really, it just felt like we're going to get that little son of a bitch back. Yeah. Like, that's what we're doing. We're going to get him. And now it's begun. It just felt different. The stakes felt different. And that's a big issue that I had with some of the reviews that I was seeing on there. people were saying this felt misplaced. We just got Boba Fett released. Why would you put that here? Maybe this should have been more closer to the beginning of the season. And I disagree. I felt like it, just because it didn't have Grogu, just because it didn't have Bo-Katan and Ahsoka, like it just had much more depth to me than even the Ahsoka episode. As much as I loved it, like I got much more out of like seeing a story take place and someone actually develop as a character. I did not get that from Rosario Dawson. I did not get that really from raiding that village. It just did not feel, I didn't feel the stakes there. Here I did, because I was seeing someone literally transform before our eyes and standing up for himself finally, when all these years he's probably been terrified to do so. And he didn't know what he would do when he was faced with this, and he reacted, and that was just what happened. But that moment, guys, it was, they couldn't have picked a better actor to play that disgusting Imperial. I mean, he had the gross teeth and everything. Yeah. For someone who like boasts like Operation Cinder, you gotta have someone disgusting. Just like, well, I don't care for this human.
And like, not even that, but he was his character felt like borderline like maniacal.
Crazy. Yeah.
Like
absolutely.
Like he seeks chaos and he thrives on it. And like I just felt like he was that person who was like, who could be like very, very calm and like bam.
Yeah. And you know what else? I think this is the stepping stone. I know Holly was really pumped about, the Mando removing his helmet, and I was too. I had to remind Holly, hey, we saw it last season. You fell asleep. I don't know what happened, but you missed a really big part of the season. But man, what a stepping stone for him. I feel like him and Bill had a moment, and I really would like Mayfield to come back. I think it's possible. Maybe it's not now, but maybe later on, kind of a changed man, and maybe he feels like he owes him something. But in that moment where, they kind of get out of the situation and the Mando, puts his helmet back on, he's just like, I keep calling him Bill Burr. Mayfield's just like, hey, I never saw you. Like, it's cool. Like, just had a real nice moment. And I'm hoping that you start to see those walls chip away at the Mando. That like, okay, this guy was saying, yeah, it's not what is this code? Is it you wear a Mandalorian helmet? Is it you just cover your face? And maybe he's starting to question, yeah, why am I doing this? Maybe those vulnerabilities are going to start coming out. He sees that it's okay. He sees that people aren't going to be whatever about it. They're not going to be shocked. You're human just like everyone else. And I think we're going to need those moments when him and Grogu are going to get even closer, and that bond's going to be closer, because just that subtle look, like you said, Holly, was just like, oh God, shit's going down. Like it was just really effective in that moment, and we need more of those moments.
Those facial expressions, and you actually are starting to get a little emotion out of him. It's very hard to have emotion out of it. That's why stormtroopers are so effective. Yeah. Stormtroopers die, they get blown up all the time. Nobody cares. Yeah. You're not like, you have no connection to them. They're just, they have a helmet on. They're very like dehumanized, I guess. But now we're getting to the point where Din Djarin is turning into more of like a personable figure, because he's not the man behind the mask or under the helmet anymore. And I think he has, since the beginning of the season, I think that he's been starting to have his doubts about what it means to be a Mandalorian, and the code that he grew up thinking was like, it's either all or nothing. It's either you follow this and you're a Mandalorian, or you don't follow it 100% and you're not. And I think that he's having sort of an identity crisis at this point. Yeah. And he's realizing like, that's okay.
Yeah. It's just every episode's just kind of chipping away at that wall. And Luke, I don't know if you caught this, even Bill Burr said there is no Mandalore anymore. We've all been kind of wondering like, what's going on there? And he pretty much said there's nothing. There is no Mandalore anymore. I think we lost Luke maybe.
Oh, sorry. Did you throw to me? You guys are breaking up a little bit on my end.
Yeah, it could be the internet. Who knows? The 400 megabytes, isn't enough. I guess I'm going to have to upgrade. But forgive the video, guys. Luke's picture's kind of going a little in and out. We got, you're seeing all my behind the scenes of OBS. I'm a master, but you're seeing kind of the Oz behind the curtain.
I was going to say it's like the Wizard of Oz.
Absolutely. But so we're learning a little more about even just kind of how people look at Mandalore, right? It's just like, I don't know if people really fear these guys in the suits anymore, right? I mean, they haven't seen them in a while, but it's like you don't even have a planet anymore, man. Why are you continuing to hide behind this mask?
Yeah, I think that was kind of a big revelation when he was talking about sort of extreme points of view and mentioned Alderaan and Mandalore, and then said, yeah, basically they're both gone. Uh, and I can see people just looking down on them from the fact that they were so destructive
Yeah.
in the way they were under constant conflict in amongst each other, even with outside parties in the galaxy as well. That they just sort of brought themselves to ruin, and like what kind of a pitiful thing to have done to your planet, to your culture in many ways. So that makes sense. Yeah, a big confirmation of Mandalore's basically gone. I don't know if the planet's blown to bits or it's just completely uninhabitable. But yeah, it's a tough situation. Can I ask you two what you thought of a scene? Talking. We've been talking so much about Mayfeld and Bill Burr, but I thought it was really great to see how the choice that Din makes about he's taking off his helmet for Grogu in that moment in the base when he has to go get the facial scan.
Yeah.
And how he doesn't really hesitate, whereas like before he would have never done that, but because it's for Grogu, he does it. So that's a big moment. And second, though, as I've watched the episode twice today, and the first time I watched it, I thought that was a big reveal and a shocking one when he went and got his face scanned, because I was like, do you have to have been a former Imperial for that scan to work? And so I started thinking, did they just reveal to us that Din at some point served in the Imperial military?
Could.
So I wonder if you guys got that at all. But then the second time I watched it, I thought maybe it's just more for like when you log into this, it's the little cylinder that you need to really get in. And then they just record your face to just, if they need to retroactively see who accessed the system, see what their face looked like. It's just like a recording rather than a security feature. Like, I wonder if you had any similar thoughts on that.
Yeah, I thought about that too, because everyone made a big deal where they were like, oh, if it scans me, it's gonna alert them that like I'm wanted by the Empire. I think personally that it's just technology. To me, I feel like it's the Imperial version of a CAPTCHA online. I feel like it catches whether these people are like droids trying to like break into it, or if they're actual like beings who are like able to think and be like, hey, I'm making this decision to log into this. I need to do X, Y, and Z, not like somebody sent me to do this or I'm trying to hack into the system or something.
We've had one too many astromechs hack into our system.
R2.
We're stopping it now.
Chopper.
I know.
but that's that's what I thought, because the first time I was like, wait a second, what? But I think it stores the data from people when they scan in, I think, and then I think they can also put in data like if this particular person scans in, or these like here are the genetics, or this is the facial structure of somebody who we want, it's going to notify them.
Yeah, I took it as a little bit of both. I think also Mayfield, I mean, he was part of the Empire and he's no longer with them. So either he's dead or he's kind of AWOL. So if his facial scan is already in the system and it pops up, they're going to be like, this deserter is in-house. Like, it's going to alert somebody. I think it was partially that, and then, like Luke said as well, who's using this? We got a log. We don't recognize the face, but you would think you would want it to be associated with the owner of the thing, but apparently that wasn't the case. So there could be multiple things going on. Hey, we don't want any droids, or we don't want anybody that shouldn't be using it, but we don't have anything on Din. But you would think that would be a red flag. This isn't just like some open portal that anyone can come and just insert whatever phrasing. But it just I don't know. It was kind of strange, but it was cool how he stepped up. And he's like, because Bill Burr was freaking out. He's like, I can't. And that was another part. He's like, I can't. Like, I served on that guy. He probably doesn't really. I just can't do it. But when Din was in trouble, he did the right thing, and he stepped up and he helped him out in a very comedic manner. We just call him Brown Eyes. I thought that was hysterical.
Yeah. Luke, to your first question that I skipped over to answer the facial recognition question. I think Paige brought this up earlier in the group chat as well, but it was kind of nice that Din had the opportunity to remove his helmet based on his own terms, because he didn't have to take it off. He could have walked away from that situation, and it probably, I mean, we know it would have been safer for him to just like walk away. They think they're heroes. They could just walk right out of there and nobody would question it. But instead he was like, I'm going to take a risk and I'm going to do this because it's important to me. And this is what needs to be done to protect this child that I've been taking care of. And I think that he's choosing those emotional attachments over his, I don't even know what you would call it. I don't know.
His commitment.
Yeah.
His lifelong commitment. This is a creed. This is our livelihood.
Creed, yes.
Nothing can jeopardize that. It's all we have. We don't have a planet anymore. And he's realizing, well, there's a lot more out there. There's attachments, which if he becomes a Jedi, we're screwed, apparently. But you're right. And even, now I forget my thought. I can't remember now.
And Nettie said, Mandalore isn't a place, it's a people.
It's a people. And I like, this was something, too, that I thought was super cool, and it made, we talk about humanizing the Empire. We've talked about it for years now in new canon, and I love that Aaron said, I was almost rooting for the Empire when they rolled in, probably a first for me. And it felt wrong. And Bill,
it's like the first time you've rooted for TIE fighters, right?
Yeah, so I was like, yeah, TIEs. Oh, crap, I really thought Y-Wings were going to show up and start bombing the hell out of the place, which would have been cool, too. That's what I thought was happening at the beginning when we were seeing those explosions. I was like, Holly, Y-Wings coming in to save the day.
Well, I thought they were going to run into the rebels. Okay, actually, let's talk about this, because I feel like Michael was getting annoyed because I was like talking through this entire scene, but
Me annoyed that you're talking through a show or a movie? That doesn't happen.
I had to talk it out. Okay, because I know that we're like jumping all over the place in this episode. We're not really like going in order of events, which is fine.
Yeah, but it's organic, Holly. I wouldn't have it any other way.
So, in the beginning, Din goes with
there was
Mayfield,
man and woman. Yeah.
And
yes.
He gets the idea to knock out these troopers or kill them or whatever they decided to do, and take their armor and then get in the trucks to get into the base.
Yeah.
Brilliant. Sure. And
absolutely,
like Luke said, that was very rebel-esque of them. But then we see those explosions, we see all the burnt vehicles, and I thought at first, I was like, it feels like there are some rebels who are fighting back against the Imperial presence that's here.
Yeah.
And I still am not 100% sure that's not what was happening. They called them pirates, but I think if they were pirates, they would be trying to steal those resources from them. I don't think they would be trying to destroy them.
Yeah, you're exactly right.
So I actually kind of felt really bad that they were just slaughtering these people.
Didn't even have a blaster.
These people were so brave. They were just trying to destroy what they thought was going to destroy their own planet. They've seen this happen to planets throughout the past however many years. They know what happens when the Empire gets can we still call it the Empire, I guess?
Yeah.
When they have these terrible resources, they know what they're going to try to do, and they know that their planet could be next. And they're trying to prevent that from happening, and they just get slaughtered by everyone. They're getting slaughtered by the Empire, and then they're getting slaughtered by Din and Mayfield, who presumably would have been on their side if they hadn't have been trying to get into the space.
Well, I think you nailed it, because at first I thought it was Y-Wings. The New Republic was coming to save the day, and it's actually great that I was thinking that, because then I was having the experience that you're having. Like, I was behind where you had progressed at this point, and they called them pirates. But the thing is I don't know. We saw some locals that were sitting on the side of the street when we first get there, right?
They were children.
They were children. I don't necessarily know who. I mean, they looked human, right? the people that were attacking them on those speeders obviously were not the same species there, but it begs the question, if this New Republic isn't as effective, as people believe they are, these people are having to defend their own planets, or maybe there's other cells out there that they don't trust this New Republic, like things didn't go right the first time. We're going to take matters into our own hand, and we're going to try to stop this mass destruction. Maybe it's not even their home planet, but maybe they're there to try to help these people. And it is unfortunate. They even have a blaster to protect themselves. And you're right. If they were trying to steal it, they would have just done so and not threw a thermal detonator in there. Luke, it was easy to kind of miss the point of everything there because they call them pirates. They're just getting slaughtered and their asses kicked. We're running over these people. It was like, I cringed. Holly's like, did you see the little rover bump up? I'm like, oh my God, they're running over people. Yeah. It was very traumatic. But what did you think of that? It was very moving now when you go back and think about it.
Yeah, no, I think Holly points out really good stuff there. And, I say you're rooting for the TIE fighters in that moment. It's because you're invested in the mission to save Grogu, which is ultimately about. And so we want that to succeed. Yeah. And then these guys come out of nowhere. We don't know what's going on with them. And it reminds me a lot of Enfys Nest.
Yep.
In Solo. And like you were saying, Holly, the pirate thing fit her when Beckett just tells Han, they're pirates,
Marauders,
raiders, marauders. It fits because they're trying to steal the same thing, and that makes sense. Like they want the resource. It turns out ultimately in the end, obviously, they want the resource to turn it into funds to fund their rebellion, which is a little bit different. But these guys, like you said, Holly, they're just trying to destroy this stuff. They don't want to take it. So that speaks more to, probably a people who just want to make it so unbearable for the Empire to be here through loss of life and loss of resources, loss of materials, that they up and leave. Mm-hmm. So it does give the sense of much more like an insurgency trying to drive out an occupying force. So that complicates the whole thing. But you're like, they don't know that Din is involved in a mission ultimately against Imperial forces as well. So if they knew that, they would let them just drive on by maybe. But they're dressed up as Imperials in an Imperial transport, so they're coming at them. It's not discussed at all, but all of that's there to be inferred from the episode. So I think it's a great thing to point out about those whoever they are.
Guys, it sounds like America.
I mean, there's also some great in the scene when he thinks he kind of fended them all off, and then like 4 or 5 other of those little speeders show up, and every dude ignites, activates his thermal detonator all at once. That was kind of like a funny shot. Like we all have detonators, and they're all activating them all at once. So I enjoyed sort of like, as violent as it was, sort of some comedic moments amongst the violence, but then at the same time, there's all of that there that you've brought up, Holly.
Yeah, I also I don't know. I actually said out loud when we were watching this, I looked at Michael and I said,
favorite episode.
No, I was like, I just want to be clear. I'm not rooting for the Empire. I just want this scene to be over.
No one would be surprised, Holly, if you were. Let's be honest.
Well, that's why I felt like it was important for me to point out in the beginning of the podcast that today was a roller coaster of a day. Because this episode was a roller coaster of an episode to me. And at first I was cheering and then I was upset. And then I was like, I just felt so bad for them all because they knew that they didn't stand a chance against the stormtroopers when Din and Mayfield crossed that bridge and the stormtroopers came running out to cover them when they were going into the base. And they just came out with their blasters. And these guys, they just like raised their spears and they were just running at these stormtroopers, and it was a suicide mission. They knew they didn't stand a chance, but their cause, whatever it is so important to them that they did it. And I just I don't know why, it just made me feel really bad.
Yeah, we're just running over heroes.
But then we didn't
quite literally.
Yeah, exactly. And then we didn't have time to process that. We just moved on to the very next thing, which is them getting cheered when they come into the base.
And you know what though? In any different scenario, if Grogu's life was not on the line, Din would help these people. Yeah. Din would find a way to do the right thing I mean, eventually we got to that point with the destruction of this base, but you're right. Let's make him as miserable as we can to just, because this was a very powerful resource that they were mining or what. I don't know what exactly. I didn't catch exactly what they're doing with this, but it sounds like that the commander that we hated sitting there at the table, pretty much it felt like he said what we're doing here will make Operation Cinder look like child's play. That's essentially what it felt like he was saying. And he mentioned specifically, you guys, when things kind of turn, he's like, let's get a drink. You guys are the only shipment that's gotten through this month, this week, or whatever it was. Today. It was just like those guys have been effective. But I think any other day, if it was any different, the circumstances were different, Din probably would have helped them out. It was just unfortunate that they're caught up in this whole mess, but there's a lot of development though there. I mean, it took a lot of that sacrifice. We can look at like Mayfield had his moment. I feel like this is going to have a huge impact on Din. Din was fired up in that hologram. Boy, I don't know if he was using Moff Gideon's verbiage word for word, but he was pissed. He was pissed, and he said, he means more to me than you'll ever know, and I'm coming for you, which is a bold statement because let's talk some specifics here. He knows the coordinates, apparently, now where Moff Gideon is, right? That's the whole point of going to this terminal. What if Moff Gideon just jumps into hyperspace and leaves? Like, we're not tracking him, right? So how are we going to find him? I was a little confused by that, but I believed it. You know what? You know what we said? We said this was going, like, Din Djarin is going to turn into Liam Neeson from Taken. And that hologram was pretty much exactly what I said was going to happen. I will hunt you down, I will find you, and I will kill you. That's pretty much what he said. I'm not scared of your Dark Troopers. Dark Troopers what? Like, I'm coming for you.
Dark Troopers.
Me and my little crew, minus Mayfield. That would be really cool if he showed up again, save the day. But what's everyone? I want to know. Like, is anyone saying like downright my least favorite episode?
No.
My favorite episode?
No.
Okay.
Rob is very enthusiastic about loving this episode.
Let's go. So people don't feel like they're losing something because Baby Yoda isn't here or Bo-Katan.
I asked everyone. I said, I was like, did you guys miss a child in this episode? I found myself so invested in what was going on during this episode that I actually kind of forgot about Grogu.
That's good writing.
Whoops. It is
That's
good.
Great writing.
It is good writing. And everyone kind of agreed with that. Rob was like, I don't really miss him. And Paige said there's a time and a place for him, and this wasn't his episode.
Yeah. It's nice that we're not dependent on, it's not a gimmick, but it's nice that we're not dependent on the cuteness or how powerful is he or is he going to be a Jedi? Like, that's cool. But like, it's really kind of, you know, we were theorizing so much about that. And when's Bo-Katan going to come back? What's Ahsoka? Well, I'll tell you right now, folks, Ahsoka ain't coming back to the Mandalorian. It is not happening. So I'm looking forward to maybe moving past some of that after the Disney announcement and really developing the characters that we know so much. I even thought Cara Dune had a really nice moment there at the end. You know, I was not a fan of Gina Carano's acting. Not the best. I still am not a fan of it. The character's cool, but it was nice her having that moment, right? This is an Imperial. You destroyed my people. And then has a duty to this new republic to serve. And this prisoner, hearing that he could escape, could put her away for life too. Probably executed, actually. So I thought that was cool that she's like, you know what? We'll turn a blind eye. And Bill Burr's like, what? Are you serious? Like, you look like you're like hardcore New Republic. I'm here. Cuff me now. I'm going. I thought that was a nice moment for her.
Also, I think that I think that New Republic folks, when the New Republic was kind of having a foundation start and they were taking a lot of prisoners of war, I guess, from the Empire. They ran out of room for them. So the ones that like didn't really have these like huge crimes against humanity, like the commanders and like the officers and the captains and stuff had, I think they were just like kind of like, hey, okay, you sat in prison, you did your time, don't do it again. Go. We don't have room for you here.
Yeah. Wow. That's a very progressive initiative by the New Republic. I mean, America, you could learn something from Star Wars.
Yeah.
A lot
seriously.
from Star Wars, actually.
Stop imprisoning everybody.
There's another plug for Alphabet Squadron. A fascinating part of that first book. It opens up on a New Republic prison camp for Imperials, and the name of the camp is Traitors Remorse. And it gets into that very idea that they're seeing, they can't hold all these people inevitably, indefinitely. I mean, they can't hold them all indefinitely. So they're sifting through and sort of psychoanalyzing them to see which of you were really committed to the cause and which of you were just going along to get along.
Yep.
So like, let's let the ones back into society who don't seem like much of a threat anymore. There's 2 of those books out. I highly recommend them. There's a third coming to conclude the trilogy, I think next year in 2021. So they're really, really interesting novels. Alexander Freed, I think most of the stuff he writes for Star Wars is solid. So just had to get that in there as well.
I want to bring this up because I was going to talk about this earlier when I was talking about the pirates trying to destroy the... Paige said what the name of those...
Paige doing some research live. Thank God.
Rhydonium. I think I said that right.
Okay.
So thank you, Paige. Nettie said the shot that Mayfield made to blow the place up was awesome.
It was sick.
And I think what I said earlier when I was like, I felt like we were moving so fast that we couldn't like process what had happened to all these guys getting blown up. But then they kind of made it right when Mayfield blew that whole base up. Yeah. It's kind of like they can't be here and really like destroy the planet unless they come here again and rebuild everything. And they might, but I feel like at that point it's a lost cause to the Empire and they need to move on.
Yeah. And we mentioned kind of, the humanizing of the Empire. There was, when Adam said we all kind of rooted for the ties when they showed up. But when you get into the base, Holly said, why are they cheering? Like, Holly, they're people. Like, some of these guys are just taking a job, right? Or they feel like, I mean, treason is execution, like, in the Empire, there's no question. So sometimes it's just a job, and some of them have probably been brainwashed, and that's what happens. And so, but it was nice to kind of see the behind the scenes. We've got that in novels, but not so much in any television or movies like we kind of did here, kind of seeing a mess hall, like just seeing people casually having a dinner and guys like high-fiving and like shaking hands with people they thought that have done a good job. That I mean, you see that a little bit in Squadrons, but like not really. I thought that was kind of a cool, I mean, yeah, what they're doing is terrible, but like some of them don't know that. They should. Oh,
I think they know it. I think they're just...
terrible people.
There's a little bit of cognitive dissonance that goes on, and you're like, oh, I'm just following orders. We've heard that before.
Yes. No, yeah. If you're complicit, then yeah, you're absolutely... Or if you're not complicit, you're actually... At this point, it's probably the worst of the worst in the Empire.
Yeah.
And that guy was a nice reflection, the commander here. I thought that was...
Also, in that scene, Mayfield just, like, he gets so fed up with this dude's attitude that he just pulls his blaster out and he shoots him. In the middle of the mess hall. Bam, dead.
Yeah.
And there's a shot you see in the background. One of the troopers has a tray and he has like a little juice cup or something and he's standing there and he just like doesn't know what to do. And he watched the whole thing and he's just standing there. He has like a shit moment.
That was a Kylo Ren moment. They were like Paige just mentioned, she's like, I don't know what you're talking about. We saw it in SNL with, I'm assuming she's talking about Kylo Ren as the undercover boss, which was amazing. And it was that was a funny moment. That's what we needed, guys. Everything has been so freaking serious, and there's all these stakes, and all these huge heroes are coming in this epic show, and that's cool, but like, you gotta have some humor.
Yeah.
And it wasn't just Bill Burr that brought it. This Rick Famuyiwa nailed it.
There you go.
Got it this time. He writes great television. I was a huge fan of his episode of the Prison Break. I loved it. I thought it was different. I know Holly didn't like some of the inconsistencies in the field. I liked that. I kind of thought it was cool because, to be honest, not a lot happened in the first season. Like, it was just I don't know, not too much happened. So I was kind of cool with things being a little different, mixing it up. Now the stakes are higher. We're going different places. Yeah, it feels a little more, I don't know, unified. But this had some of the most depth that I think we've seen out of Star Wars even in a while. Back to the animation stuff and Rebels. Rebels had a lot of these great moments. So it hit for me. It was I keep saying this week in, week out, could have been a favorite. This one felt like this might be my favorite of all the seasons.
And I think it was a big turning point for a lot of the characters. Yeah. I know that we've talked a lot about the character development that happened in this episode, but we needed that.
We did.
And I just feel like it's changed. I feel like from here on out, it's going to be different.
Yeah. And I don't know why. Like, at the end of it, I'm just like, yeah, Boba Fett's going to show up when Boba Fett needs to be there, and he's just taking orders, and we just depend on him, and we trust him. I'm like, what world are we living in where we're like, yeah, Boba Fett's, we're going to call him in, he's going to come pick us up on the shuttle, and then he's going to take out some ties for us. Never in a million years would I have thought this is the way we're going. I know we talked about it in the beginning of this season. We're like, could he? It just seemed too far-fetched because he is a very selfish, he only worries about himself. And
not anymore.
Boy, I can't wait to hear why things have changed so much. Maybe the Sarlacc juices down there, dissolving his flesh. I don't know. Something changed him, but it's just funny that we're just like, yeah, he's going to pick us up and he's going to drop a freaking seismic charge, which was what an awesome payoff. It was so great to pull that in. I was like, we're going away. We're not going to be able to outrun these ties. And I don't recall there being any rear blasters covering the 6 of Slave One. So he's going to drop one of those. And, man, what a payoff. I responded just like Luke. Are you freaking kidding me? It was and to see it drop so close to a planet, you're just like, holy shit. Okay,
I don't want to be
epic.
underneath that.
Phrasing. You don't want to be.
Yeah, that was, Slave One playing one of the hits.
Oh.
But as the encore, but there was some new Slave One stuff that we'd never seen before. I loved seeing the sort of passenger area of the Slave One. It was great to see as they were, Fennec Shan and Mando and Cara Dune and Mayfield are in the sort of passenger cargo area as they're taking off at one point, and you see the ship is shifting around them because of the unique way that it lands and becomes a vertical. And you see, like, to keep them from shifting their orientation, it's the ship that kind of shifts around that area. And it was really subtle. If you're not paying too much attention, you kind of miss it in the background of the characters just having their conversation, setting up the episode with their dialogue. But it was beautiful to see. And I don't know how, but there were windows in that area too that they could see out of, and I'm like, where are these other windows on the Slave One? It doesn't make sense from what we know about the external view of the Slave One, but it was awesome and it was beautiful. So, like, why not? Like, oh, maybe some of that stuff that looks opaque on the outside is actually it's transparent from the inside. Okay,
it's like a one-way mirror, Luke. Like, they could see out, can't see in.
Yeah.
It almost felt like so when Boba comes and he picks them up in the Slave One and they have to, like, run and jump to get into his ship, and then they're, like, very winded sitting there.
Yeah.
Din is, like, sitting against part of the ship, and it looks like the windows behind him are open because when they start going, he looks like he, like, loses his balance and like has to, like, hold on so he doesn't fall out.
It felt like we were in a chopper. It felt like we were in a military chopper with open sides, and that's kind of how we were in that cargo hold. That's how I felt too. And you're right, guys. Like, the Slave One looked like the most uncomfortable ride in the universe. I mean, I just recall in Attack of the Clones that leaning back for takeoff, like, it just looked so uncomfortable. But these guys were just chilling out. They could have cracked open a cold one, going on a mission. It was gorgeous. It's as almost if Lando got a hold and kind of decked out the Slave One, and it's looking sharp and clean and new paint. Mando had a new paint job. That flat paint on his armor looked so good.
Oh yeah, sharp.
So good. That's what I'm getting a tattoo of.
I thought you already had a tattoo of that.
It's not
You're
gonna
getting
be. It's not
you're
gonna
getting
be.
it
It's gonna be
touched
a
up.
fresh armor. It's not gonna be. It's not gonna be. Yeah, I already got the tattoo with all the chipped armor. Now, I don't think he has the blaster. Does he?
It's
The
all been
blaster.
repaired.
It's all been repaired, which is that's big. That's big for Boba Fett. That's like almost. Now here we go. We can't start in all this discussion about Boba Fett's mental state because I'll go for another hour.
Yeah,
It's
I
almost
guess
like a
that
progression of
he
of
wouldn't
him.
have gone to the armor to get it fixed. So who fixed it for him?
That's what I'm saying. I feel like when we talked about, like Luke said, hey, like he's going to go off and try to find out really who he is, and he's not really deserving of that armor anymore. It's almost like he's got it back now. It's like it's time to make it whole again because I'm a new person.
Yeah.
I don't know.
What? You know what else I liked
deep.
about this episode? I kind of liked how Fennec Shand and Cara Dune were just like letting them do
Yeah.
their thing,
Yeah.
but at the same time they were kind of like, we'll come in for backup if they need
Yeah, we'll
us.
cover you guys. Don't worry, because we know you're gonna mess it up.
Yeah, and they were just like, it felt like they were the adults supervising the children on some like mission. And then
Yeah.
I loved when this scene has come up a lot in the chat right now, when Mayfield fires the shot that blows up the base, and also when Boba drops the bomb. They just kind of like look at each other, and there's like very few words spoken between Cara Dune and Fennec Shand in this episode, and they don't have to say anything because they're both like, that was cool.
Yeah.
I
but not going to give them too much credit, right?
I love that like nonchalance that they have. It's just like,
I
cool.
do too. And I'll tell you another thing, guys. Another big, there's a couple big moments that we need to talk about. But one, when they are making the breakout, after they caused that havoc, I was like, it would feel okay if Mayfield didn't make it out. You know, like I finally confronted this fear that I've had for so long. It felt right. And almost that sacrifice that we may have gotten there. Kind of just like I've lost all myself. The Empire stripped me of everything. It took everything I ever knew. It took my friends, and I haven't had an identity here. But now I'm actually taking. I mean, he was doing side jobs. He was doing criminal, like, you know, kind of almost like Han. I found something bigger to be a part of, and going out like that, I think would have been very fitting. I'm glad he survived because I think he's a really cool character, and it was nice to see that growth. And sometimes that growth happens so quickly, and then we lose someone, and you're like, the potential. And it's cool that his story is unwritten now, and who knows how are you getting off there? Right? First of all, you got no comms, you got no ride. Where are you going, Mayfield? I thought you were saying, hey, can you give me a lift? Like at the end, like, you're gonna leave me here. Can I get I thought there'd be a nice joke. No, he's just off. So I don't know how he's going to get back.
Well, I don't think he would have taken a ride with them because I don't think that he wanted Cara Dune to change her mind.
True. You're right. Yeah. So like
the
she's
longer
hardcore.
Yeah.
He was willing though, but you're right. Like I need to leave now. Don't change your mind because I'm gone. Yeah. I kind of thought that could be, I was ready for that. It was like I was having the same moment that I had with Finn in The Last Jedi when he was ready to sacrifice himself to save the Resistance.
Well, it's kind of like
great.
These guys, especially Mayfield, from what we know, like our introduction to him, he was not a good person.
Yeah.
Bad guy.
Yeah.
Was in the Empire, fought on Jakku. Is that where he?
Who was it? Wait, who?
Maybe not Mayfield.
Oh yeah, I didn't catch where he said he was the whole engagement. I don't remember.
Yeah, and he lost people, but he like still enlisted and fought for them.
Mm-hmm.
And that was after the Death Star. So, like, that wasn't a secret that the Empire blew up Alderaan. And so he did bad things. And so I feel like if he had died, it would have been a good redemption. Hey, I did some bad things for the Empire, so I'm going to take this base out and sacrifice myself for what I believe right now to be the greater good.
Yeah.
And I feel like my job here is done.
Oh, even bad people are worth saving.
Yeah.
Even Darth Vader done terrible things. That's always going to be, other than Palpatine, other than old Sheev himself, everyone's worth saving. Guys, if you're enjoying what you're hearing, smash that like button. I don't think I've ever said smash that like button ever in my freaking life. I vow to never become that person.
You just said it.
But press
in
that
the
like,
middle. In the middle.
Press
of the
that like button.
podcast.
If you guys are liking it, let us know. I just smash that like button. I'm gonna get something on a soundboard that just says that. But one other thing. Big moment. Not really. Not many stakes with this moment. But Luke, I don't know if you caught a subtle reference to an early 2000s classic in this episode. He might be muted. He might be frozen. We may have lost. I may have stumped Lucas Elder.
Luke?
Can you hear us, Luke?
The last thing I heard was big moment. You guys cut out for a bit.
The suspense is killing Luke. Did you catch the big moment of where there was a early 2000s film reference in that dining hall?
Early dining hall, early 2000s film reference.
May have, this film may have taken place predominantly in an office space. I don't know if I just gave away the title.
The TPS.
TPS reports are in Star Wars. It's canon. Change my mind. TPS. We gotta do some TPS reports. I mean, let's go. Put it on Wikipedia right now. Sorry, Wikipedia. I said Wikipedia.
Both.
Do that too.
Put it on both.
Do that too. I don't know. Did you catch that, Luke, when it happened?
I did. It slipped my mind in the past several hours, and it wasn't one of the things I wrote down, but I definitely caught it the first time around. It was a little surprised that got slipped in there. But I think I bet they let Bill Burr kind of riff on some of his lines a bit, given his comedic background, stand-up background, and it makes sense that he probably did 30 takes, and they just
that one worked.
Just got a kick out of that. I bet he just threw it in ad lib, and it wasn't in the script. But I'll say, you talked about, we've had some talk about Famiua, and I hope he sticks around in the Star Wars universe. When you look at all the writing credits and directors for the first 2 seasons, the vast majority of episodes are written by Favreau. Filoni's written too. Mm-hmm. The only person not named Favreau or Filoni that has writing credits. He wrote this episode too. Yep. And he wrote Chapter 6 last year is Famiua. He's the only other. Yeah. There's another guy who has credit for the Famiua episode last year as another writer, but he's the sole writer on this episode. So he, like I said, he's the only one outside of Favreau and Filoni getting that opportunity to not only direct but to write. And with the big announcement, that there's Rangers of the New Republic and Ahsoka, which both take place in the same time period and are produced by Favreau and Filoni as well. I hope they're able to keep Famiua in the mix, because he took, like I said, a premise for an episode that I wasn't very excited about, and executed it well, made it compelling, made it meaningful. And it's one I've really enjoyed. I've watched it, like I said, twice already. I want to go watch it again. It was really solid.
Yeah, I hope they keep him around. That's a huge thing too. Like you said, Luke, Favreau has written almost all this. Filoni's written a little bit, and they're producing this together. But to allow someone to come in and take a few episodes, I mean, it's a risk. But you also have folks that are just if Filoni and Favreau are not writing the rest of Star Wars forever, I'm not watching. Bye. See ya.
There are other really great writers out there. Give them a chance.
So many writers. And it's so great that they are giving him this chance. And for me, it's knocking it out of the park.
I think that he would do really well in the Rangers series.
I agree.
Because
I could see Cassian. I could see him doing amazing in everything.
I know. He has that. It's that fast, action-packed, keep it interesting, keep you on your toes.
But look at the development. Like Luke said, I wasn't really crazy about Bill Burr coming back. And I get it. There's a lot of reasons why. Doesn't seem to fit. Kind of comedic. But
it worked.
It worked in the middle, at the end of a season, right before the freaking finale. Yeah. It worked.
So what's going to happen next? Is Din going to find Moff Gideon
We're going to kick some ass. That's what we're doing. That's what we're doing. We're going to kick some ass. Thank you. We're going to take some names, and then we're going to kick it. Okay? I wish I had a really awesome like soundtrack, like Lord of the Rings, like.
I was gonna say Michael's like turning into Duke Nukem right now.
Who's that?
Oh, he's in a video game. He says it's time to kick ass and chew bubblegum, but we're all out of bubblegum. I don't know.
I thought you were gonna say it's time to party, Garth, but whatever. It's cool. Or was it the other guy? I don't remember my 90s references.
Party on, Wayne.
Party
on,
on,
Garth.
Like, yes, nailed it.
Swing.
That's one thing I am very surprised has never made its way into the podcast is the schwing.
Because we have phrasing.
Yeah, but we used to say the schwing thing a lot. You're forgetting all conversations of the past. That's fine. It's cool. Holly's embarrassed now. She's like, I'm not a child. I don't speak like I'm some teenage boy.
Sometimes
yes,
I do.
you do. You watch Archer. You watch these disgusting, raunchy things. And then she makes me feel bad about making jokes.
And then you use them on the podcast.
And then I say, hey, remember the one time that you're like, let's watch the show, Arthur? I'm like, cool, what is it? And you're like, let's watch it. And I watched it 5 minutes into it. I said, you watch this? I could not believe it. She makes me feel so bad for some of the jokes that I say.
Michael's
and then
like,
I'm watching this trash. I love it, but it's trash. Go ahead, Holly. Sorry.
He's like, you're a feminist and you watch Archer and listen to Eminem?
I just could. Anyway.
I can like both, Michael.
You can. Guys, I don't know. Where are we Luke, where are we going? If Moff Gideon can just jump to light speed and we have his core, like, what's going to I have no idea what's happening. And that's what's also kind of great about having this episode here, that there's no Grogu, there's no anything else going on. We're still just like, what the hell is going to happen in this season finale? We still have no idea. What do you think?
Yeah, we're gonna get some kind of showdown with Gideon and Din and his crew. I think it's gonna be a longer one. It feels like there's a lot that needs to happen in this final episode. Mm-hmm. When you think about season 1, chapter 7 and chapter 8 were almost like both the finale because they were very closely connected. Yep. It was almost like one long episode, and so this didn't feel like the finale at all. It felt very disconnected from whatever chapter 8 or chapter 16 of this season is going to be. Yeah. So I think we're gonna get a long one. Like the first episode of this season, the first episode of the season I think was closer to an hour, and I think by far the longest episode of the season so far. I think they're gonna bookend it with another longer episode of similar length. Yeah. Because most of the ones in the middle have been 40 minutes and under, closer to 30 sometimes. So I think we're gonna get a big one. We're going to get, I want to say Bo-Katan is going to come back into the fold. She seems like she is going to continue to be part of the story. Like, you're right that Ahsoka, her show's announced. This was just the launch her spinoff. Okay, there she goes. But like Bo-Katan, Darksaber, Mandalore, all that stuff is so tightly wound in with this story that I think she's going to stick around. So I wouldn't be shocked to see her come back.
Yep.
And then we're going to get, I think, some clue, hint about what Grogu did on the Seeing Stone in the prior episode. We might not get a concrete answer, but we're going to get something that's going to tease and torment us for the next year or however long. I don't know if their production schedule is going to get thrown off by COVID or if we're going to get season 3 around the same time next year. But I think they're going to leave us with something that's not quite concrete, but at least a little more of a breadcrumb trail along what exactly happened there on Tython with Grogu.
Absolutely. Holly, what's going to happen next week? Is it possible that this season could end in darkness?
Yeah.
Much like the saga films have.
I think so.
Midway through, could everything be left in darkness?
Maybe we don't even get Grogu.
An episode?
No.
They literally leave us in darkness. They're like, sorry, guys, no episode.
What's that Simon and Garfunkel song?
Sing it. No, go ahead. No, I want you. You want to put some music to it?
No.
Oh.
Out of darkness, my own.
There it is.
I am actually thinking maybe we don't even get the child back.
Yeah, feels like it.
I mean, this could go on. It would be surprising and actually a little bit disappointing to me that we're getting a season 3, but it takes Din one episode to get the child back from Moff Gideon.
Yeah.
So I think it's going to have to, it's going to have to be some bigger struggle. But We've been super spoiled with
Yeah.
knowing that this show is going to come back.
Mhm.
And I feel like the end of season 1, like, yeah, we had to wait, but it wasn't that big of a
Wasn't
deal
that
because
long.
we knew that it was going to come out again.
Mhm.
But I feel like Luke said, there are a lot of questions right now about when the next season could possibly be aired. Have they even started filming it yet because of COVID? Who knows?
Is this it?
Oh, no.
We know we have a
They're
a
filming
third
other
season.
things.
Exactly.
But then it's like, I don't want the quality to be compromised by them trying to make sacrifices to stay safe during COVID.
Yeah.
And that's not me saying, like, just film it.
Yeah,
That's
no, you're a reasonable human. I get it.
Yes, I would rather wait a little bit longer and have season 3 have the same quality that this season has had.
Yeah.
Instead of them trying to, like, get around things to still film it.
Holly, I really appreciate that you are someone who thinks and cares about other people. That's a fantastic quality in you.
Thank
and I
you.
love it. It's a complete difference from what we heard on NPR today from some lady saying that she, didn't need to wear a mask because her faith was going to protect her. And you know what, guys, I'm sorry. That's fantastic. Please keep your faith, and I'm pumped for you. But like, that faith doesn't protect other people.
Michael says, keep
Wear a
your faith
mask.
away from me.
Wear a mask. I have no problem with people's faith. I'm sorry. That shit is not going to protect other people. Wear a mask. I had to just say it because Holly's bringing up a great point. Thinking about other people. Stop being selfish people.
That's all we want.
Anyway,
Everyone
would you
stay
like
safe.
to hear my thoughts on the way I think we're going? I love what you guys
Yes.
are saying. I love what you guys are saying. I'm going to put a little bit together.
Okay.
I think we are going to be left in darkness. I do not think that we're getting Grogu back. Like you said, Holly.
Ever?
Way too fucking easy. You can't get him back in 30 minutes. Not against we've made Moff Gideon be some hard ass, some maniacal, twisted villain who has a darksaber and freaking dark troopers. You ain't getting him back with a few old, felons. That ain't happening. I don't care how menacing your hologram is, Mando. We're not getting him back until next season. And I love what Luke's saying. I think Bo-Katan is coming back. It makes the most sense. Ahsoka, like we said, out of here. Not coming back. She's got her own thing. Never going to see her again in The Mandalorian. Really sorry. It was fun.
That's fine.
She's gone for a while. We had all talked about Sabine. And I think the release of the Ahsoka news, also, Sabine, not coming in. She's gonna be in the Ahsoka show.
What about Thrawn?
Which I'm kind of seasons away. Seasons away, Holly. But that's good, though. I think I was pumped for these announcements for so many reasons, but I think it's also now we're starting to scale down our expectations. Okay, Bo-Katan makes a whole hell of a lot of sense. That's awesome. I'm down for that. And let's also spend some more time on some of these characters we already had before. It was cool having the introductions, live action Ahsoka, great. Sabine would be, we're going to see Sabine at some point. It was just too perfect in live action. Man, I can't wait to see her sick armor and the spray paint. I want to see her tagging things like in real life. That'd be sick. Maybe she tags a Seeing Stone. I don't know. That would have been kind of cool if she showed up. She's like expecting a Jedi, and she tags the rock. It says "bitch."
I think it
That
would be
would've been kinda
It would
cool.
just be a loft cat. She'd just tag it with a loft cat.
That would have been cool. That would have been cool.
Sabine out.
But
Mic
you know
drop,
what?
But with a spray paint can.
You know what else I think would be cool? And this is some big speculation. I think there's failure. They failed. We don't get Grogu back. And then you see this character, this human. Maybe he has a robe on. I'm not sure. And he just turns to his little mechanical friend. He says, "Well, what do you think, BD?"
It's Cal Kestis.
And Cal mother trucking Kestis shows up
What?
to save the freaking day next season. I don't know, but I'm down. I would love a tease like that. I want BD1 in live action. He's one of my favorites now. I think it'd be cool. He hops up on his shoulder and he says, "What do you think, BD? Should we help him out?" And then it ends in darkness. Crazy? Maybe. Far-fetched? No.
We've seen Stranger Things.
We have, yes, seen the show,
Yeah.
seen both seasons.
No.
Really enjoyed it. But we have seen Stranger Things. You're right, Ollie. We've seen crazier things in Star Wars. I don't know. But I think, the Darksaber, Who the hell, Luke? Who the hell would have thought the Darksaber's coming in the show? I didn't. So how is it? It's not that crazy. It's not that crazy. Thrawn would maybe be a little too much. We need Thrawn. Thrawn either the season's away. I don't want it right now.
Okay, wait, hold on. When you say seasons away, so Sabine and Ahsoka, you said throw them away, give them to Ahsoka.
Different show.
But Thrawn, you think Thrawn possibly could actually make an appearance in The Mandalorian?
I don't know.
Well, the word on the street is that this Favreau Filoni verse that's becoming Ahsoka, Mando, Rangers, all being shows helmed by them, that there's something down the line that will bring all the shows together, whether that be like a movie sort of featuring characters from all the shows or like a mini series culminating all the shows. But that's the word on the street, that the ultimate thing to do with this set of shows and characters and these producers, that they'll kind of bring it all together.
So it's like it's like the Avengers.
Yeah, it's definitely, especially after that presentation, that's what it feels like. It's all going to tap in. Oh, it's okay, Holly. You're not a true Star Wars fan.
Casual fan here.
Am I gatekeeping? I'm really sorry.
Ugh,
sorry.
crap.
I'll leave that to the rest of the internet.
Kick me off the podcast.
I don't know. I'm sorry, guys. Let me give you a 5-second rant here. I've seen a lot of shit on the internet lately, and it's pissing me off.
Tell them.
It's pissing me off. Lucasfilm lists their slate of stuff, and I see some dumbass comment and say, as long as you keep Kathleen Kennedy far, far away from these projects, they're going to be great. And I was like, listen, dumbass. Every single goddamn project that's been released since 2014 has been a Kathleen Kennedy production. Go back to your goddamn basement where you belong. Stop hating on someone you don't know and you actually are enjoying things that they are executive producing.
Also, I think what they were saying, the comment that I saw on Twitter was, don't let Kathleen Kennedy sink her claws into any more Star Wars.
What the fuck does that mean? If you just want to hate on women some more, bury yourself. I'm so sick of this shit. You know nothing about her. There's no secret agenda. They're just actually trying to get your children to grow up to be decent human beings, to have empathy and compassion for people. Shut the fuck up. I'm sorry. I cannot stand this shit. You take something that's encouraging and good for the youths and for people that are actually enjoying what's happening. If you don't enjoy it, just shut the hell up and go watch Lord of the Rings or something. I don't give a shit. But do not bring that shit and your gatekeeping into Star Wars.
Don't send them to the Lord of the Rings fandom. We don't want those people here.
I just am so sick of that shit. I can't take it anymore. Anyway. Boy, guys, that got it really explicit, but hey, we're past an hour, so I think at that point, YouTube's like, wow, we don't give a shit what you say.
Flying casual after dark.
After an hour. Literally after hour. But yeah. Holly, you any thoughts?
Oh, I have a lot of thoughts, and
We'll
I think you just summed it up. I could talk about that issue all day.
I don't know. I don't understand how people have the energy to bitch about such trivial things in our lives.
I will say this. Those people haven't been bitching for the last 24 hours because they were like, ugh, Disney is ruining Star Wars. Kathleen Kennedy's ruining Star Wars. They're the same people who are like, oh my God, I'm so excited for Ahsoka. I'm so excited for this. I'm so excited for everything that's coming out. Everything is awesome. Bro, a month ago, you were like, Kathleen Kennedy needs to get fired.
Well, and do not forget the biggest thing of all.
Tell us.
Do you know who appointed Kathleen Kennedy the president of fucking Lucasfilm? It was the maker himself. How does that not end the argument? He said it's best suited in her hands. Those are his words. No one else. Not Dave Filoni, not anyone else. Not Bob Iger, no one else. In her hands to make decisions. I'm sorry, she's not going. That's the end of the story. If you're not enjoying it, don't fucking watch it.
But here's the thing.
Or if you don't like it, just keep your mouth shut. Or if you want to offer criticisms in a very respectable way, do that. My watch is like, breathe, Michael. I actually just hit my goddamn stand goal.
Ooh,
Let's
so
go.
It's because your arms are
Let's
flailing
go.
around. Look,
Yeah.
if you ask anybody who hates Kathleen Kennedy what specifically she did to Star Wars herself that they don't like, they cannot answer the question.
Yes.
They do not know why they don't like her. They just don't like her. Well, I can guess why they don't like her. Well, keep women out of Star Wars. We don't need any more Mary Sues.
Keep them out of politics. Keep them out of Star Wars. Keep them just out. Holly, your place is in the home and to be silent.
That's right.
Okay?
That's right.
Perfect. I'm glad we have that understanding.
Figure that out.
It is. This isn't political, guys. This is not politics. Star Wars, yes, it has, political stories, but this is not a political discussion. It just isn't. If you want to be shitty, don't listen to our podcast.
We will gladly see you out.
Want to be shitty, maybe keep it out of the Star Wars threads.
Or don't.
Just keep it to yourself. That's fine.
Yeah. It's fine.
It is. Well, that felt good. I'm glad I hit my stand goal. If you could hit that move goal too, Watch, that'd be fantastic. But don't think I'm going to hit that one.
I want that little green ring to fill all the way up.
Phrasing. But guys, I want to know, I want the group. The group's been quiet on this episode. So I want to see kind of what people genuinely thought about it. It was one of my favorites. I think I'm down for it. Give me more Rick Famuyiwa. Give me more of him in Star Wars.
Yeah, for sure.
I love that they trust him. Give him his own show to write. I'd be down. And maybe he already has gotten that, and we just don't know yet.
Can you imagine if that gets announced? I will scream.
Absolutely down. Absolutely down. Guys, this was, I think, besides the 5-minute rant there, where it just happened. I just get upset. One of my favorite conversations I think we've ever had. I thought this was a fantastic story, a fantastic discussion. You guys have been great in the chat. Smash that like button if you enjoyed what you heard. But seriously, though, if you are enjoying it, if you haven't subscribed, do so. If you haven't liked the video, go ahead and do that. And if you're listening to this on the podcast, let us know that you're enjoying Flying Casual. Let us know by doing that, by giving us a 5-star rating and a review, Holly. Reviews are fun.
Look, if you leave a review on Apple Podcasts, I check that, and I will read it, and I will give you a shout-out.
Unless you just say there's too much episode 2 hate here, then I'm not going to read it.
I'll read that.
That might have been Luke's review. I'm not really sure. We're still not certain. But no, in all seriousness, we love interacting with you guys. It's the staple of this podcast. It's the staple of our Facebook group. It's the staple of our Patreon. And speaking of which, Holly, our book club is tomorrow filming. So those of you, I've posted in the Patreon. If you haven't responded, letting us know you'll be there, do so immediately. I'm going to try to set things up early. And lately, Skype has not been friendly to the downloading their MP4 into my editing software. So going to do things a little differently, hopefully. But so let us know if you're going to make it. We were talking about Lost Stars. If you haven't read it, probably shouldn't attend book club. But guys, I appreciate you being here. I appreciate you being willing to join us, even though we've released 4 episodes this week. It's been a hell of a week, a very busy week, and it's not over yet. So I appreciate you guys sticking around. Thanks for listening. Thanks for taking care of each other. I love you, fam. Keep doing it right. Keep doing it sweaty, and stay safe, stay sweaty, and may the force be with you. We'll see you guys.